Hi, second grade friends, it's Mrs. Lynn. This is this week's reading lesson. This is for Monday, May 18th. This is going to be another week where we are working with nonfiction. We're going back to the 5W and how questions to monitor our comprehension, except instead of with fiction, we're using nonfiction. So as a reminder with last week, nonfiction books are stories that are real. The author is trying to teach us about a subject. It could be about a real person, a real animal, a real place, a real holiday, anything that's real where they're trying to teach us facts about something. So with this week, as we did 2 weeks ago, we're going to use questions to monitor comprehension. I'm sorry because the sun is coming in, but hey, the sun's out. Yay! So using questioning to monitor comprehension. What is comprehension? This is a review from 2 weeks ago. It's going to be the same whether it's fiction or nonfiction. Comprehension is going to be showing you understood what you learned. So whatever you read about, you're able to explain back what you read. If you're not able to explain back what you read, then we need to read again. And how we're going to monitor our comprehension this week is we're going to use the 5W questions and a how. Sorry again about the sun. Hopefully it'll go in a second. So the 5W questions and the how are who, what, where, when, why, and how. So this week, the questions we're going to use are going to be different than when we used fiction questions, because instead of being about story elements, about character setting, problem solution, they're going to be geared now toward showing that you understood the nonfiction story. So the questions we're going to answer this week, and we'll go over these again as we do this, is going to be, who is the author of the text? Now remember, usually you are able to find the author on the front cover of the book, and if it's not there, then it's going to be on the title page. I'll show you how to look for that in a minute, but that's going to be a question we're going to answer this week. For what, we're going to say, what is the topic the author is trying to teach you about? So basically, what's the whole book about? What's the topic? Is it about a certain animal? Is it about a certain place, a certain person? Where is an example of a text feature? Now, we talked about text features last week. Text features can be the title page. It can be a heading. It can be a bold word, a highlighted word, a colored word. It can be the table of contents, the glossary, the index. It can be a caption explaining what's underneath a picture. So if it says, like in the picture above, here's a picture of, a spider creating a spider web, that sentence underneath a caption is a text feature. When did you use a graphic feature to help you understand the text better? Now, a graphic feature, remember, is anything with pictures. So it can be just a basic picture in the story. It can be a map. It can be a graph. So anytime they use a picture to help you explain, anytime they use a picture to help you explain what you just learned about. So if you didn't know last week when we read about lightning, if you didn't know what a lightning rod looked like, and they provided a picture for us, and they showed you what a lightning rod looked like, that's an example where you used a graphic feature to help you understand what the author was saying. So when did you use a graphic feature to help you understand the text better? Our why question is going to be, why do you think the author wrote the text? Was it to help you understand something more about the topic? It's an opinion. So why do you think the author wrote that text? And remember, text is a fancy word for describing a nonfiction book. Just like when you send a text to someone, you're sending words. A text is a book. And that's, anytime you hear the word text in nonfiction, that's what they're talking about in the story. So why do you think the author wrote this text? How many new facts did you learn? I'm going to ask that you tell me at least 2 facts that you learned. Remember, facts are true things, something that you learned about the topic. All right, so here is what we're going to do. Last week, we read lessons about lightning. Do you remember this? If you did not, then you should probably go back and watch last week's video. We did find 3 to 4 facts. We folded a piece of paper into 4s, and you were supposed to go through and tell me every page, what did you learn on that page? Or what did you learn every few pages? So for this, I'm going to use this as my example this week to answer the who, what, where, when, why, how questions. Now, you're not going to have access to a piece of paper that says who, what, where, when, why, how on there. But you can take a piece of paper and you can write them very large on a piece of paper. You can separate them with lines in between if you want. But this is what you're going to want to use this week. So I'm going to do with the questions from here. So for the who question, who is the author of the text? Now for me, the author is right here. It says by. That's usually your hint that there's the author. Remember, pictures, illustrations, that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for the author. So it'll be on the front. And if it's not on the front, if you go into the title page, it'll usually say it's somewhere on the front, sometimes toward the bottom. But here is his name again. So for the person who wrote this, it's going to be Lawrence Chandler. So next to who, I put Lawrence Chandler because that's my who question. Who is the author of the text? For my what question, what is the topic the author is trying to teach you about? My topic is lightning. Usually the title page is your hint on what the book's going to be about. We're not learning about oceans in this book. I'm not learning about a famous person. The topic is lightning. So next to what, I just simply put lightning. That's the topic they're trying to teach me about. For the where question, where is an example of a text feature? I said on page 7, there's a heading. And the heading is the dangers of lightning. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. But remember, a heading is almost like a chapter title. And for the next few pages, it'll tell me that that heading is what those next few pages are about. So for mine, page 7, I put the heading and it was dangers of lightning. You don't have to do a heading. You can do a highlighted word. You can do a bold word. You could do the glossary. You could do a title page. You could do an index, any kind of text feature. It doesn't have to be the one, a heading. For the when did you use a graphic feature to help you understand the text better? I said on page 9, it showed me what a picture of a lightning rod was. I didn't know what a lightning rod looked like, but here they gave me a picture, and this is an example of a graphic feature. Pictures are graphic features. That's the simplest one to use. If there's a map, you can use a map. If there's a graph, you can use a graph. All right. Why do you think the author wrote the text? Excuse me. So why do you guys think that Lawrence Chandler wrote the story? I said the author wanted readers to learn about how to be safe around lightning. So that's what I put next to the why. And for the how many new facts did you learn? Try to find 2 facts that you learned. I said 1, you see lightning before you hear thunder. And 2, lightning is hotter than the outside of the sun. So, now, you're not going to do it for lightning. You are going to do it for this week's story, which is going to be about rainbows. So we're going to answer those same questions now. But your example this week that you'll come to your Zoom meeting with on Wednesday, May 20th, will be on rainbows. So take a piece of paper, who, what, where, when, why, how. You can put the title at the top, rainbows, so that you know that was the story that you're writing about this week. You can pause here if you need to. All right. So I'm going to read this to you. We'll go over the questions one last time before I turn you loose to go fill out your paper. And then we'll see you guys next week with the Zoom. Okay. So put this all together for you guys. All right. So Rainbows by Carol Kruger. That's going to be important. That's already going to tell you one of your questions, who the author is. This chapter book has a title page with all the different text features that are inside this book, including a glossary and an index. All right. What is a rainbow? So I'm going to read to you and then I will show you the pictures. A rainbow is made by the sun shining through raindrops. The drops of water in rain reflect the sun's light. As this happens, each raindrop makes different colors. So we'll show you this way, and then you guys, if I pull out, you can actually see the rainbow. A raindrop is like a tiny mirror or a prism. A prism is a little piece of glass that reflects rainbows back, not a prism, a prism, P-R-I-S-M. A rainbow is really a full circle, but we can only see half of it from the ground. When flying in the sky in an airplane, you can sometimes see a rainbow as a full circle. Did you guys know that? I did not know that. We always see rainbows as that half thing, but sometimes up in an airplane, you can see it as a full circle. That's pretty cool. The 7 main colors of a rainbow are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. This is called a spectrum. You guys probably know this from Mr. W teaching in art class. 7 colors of the rainbow. Why is a rainbow curved? A rainbow is curved because the sunlight bends when it shines through the raindrops. The violet rainbow band bends the most. The red rainbow band bends the least. Here's an example of the rainbow again. They told us with the heading. There's another text feature. When does a rainbow appear? A rainbow appears when it's raining and the sun is shining at the same time. So you need to have the sun out. You can see a rainbow only if the sun is shining from behind you on the rain. That's interesting. So you tend to see them a lot in the summertime after thunderstorms. Sometimes if the raindrops are big enough, there will be 2 rainbows. So a very bright one and then one that's a little bit more faded. Where do rainbows appear? Rainbows appear in the sky, in soap bubbles. Sometimes when you're washing your hands, you might see a rainbow. They also appear in crystals, in patches of oil on wet roads, and in diamonds. Do you ever see in a parking lot sometimes the oil that's left behind from a car? It'll look like there's a rainbow in the puddle. Make your own rainbow. You can make a rainbow. Did you guys know that? You need a dish of water, a mirror, a flashlight, and a sheet of white paper. So if you want, you can try this little experiment at home this week. Step 1, you put the mirror in the water. Step 2, you shine the light at the mirror. It's interesting, right? Step 3, you hold the paper above the flashlight. Soon you will see a rainbow. You might have to dim the lights in the room so you can see it. Interesting, right? Okay, so now and let me just show you real quick so you guys can see in the back. Sometimes in the back of a book, it'll have a glossary, which is like a little dictionary with just the important words from the thing, like crystals, indigo, prism, reflect, and spectrum. They were the important vocab words on the page. And an index in the back. It'll help you find topics faster. So if you want to know real quick, like what the colors of the rainbow are, it tells you to go to page 2 or page 5 to 7, and it'll explain it. Or if you want to know about seeing rainbows in soap bubbles, it tells you to go to page 10. Okay, so you'll take your paper with the who, what, where, when, why, how. You can write rainbows at the top. You can draw lines to separate your questions if you'd like, or you can just write right next to it. So your questions. Who is the author of the text? And I will show you the front cover again one more time. Look for the author. Pause if you need to. Your next question is going to be, what is the topic the author is trying to teach you about? So what was that story all about? Where is an example of a text feature in that story? Might need to go back and look. Write down, was it a heading? Did you do a glossary, an index, a title page, a vocabulary word? When did you see a graphic feature to help you understand the text better? So where was a time that a picture or a graph or a map helped you to understand the book we just read better? Why? Why do you think the author wrote that text? Why do you think they wrote about a story about rainbows? What was the point of that? How? How many new facts did you learn? Try to tell me 1 or 2 new facts you learned about rainbows. Okay? So that's what you need to do for us for next week. And we will see you at Zoom on May 20th. Make sure you're getting on to iReady. Make sure that you are using Reading A to Z Kids. You should be practicing reading 30 minutes a day. I know I tell you guys that every video, but you really must be reading books at home. It can be YouTube. If you want to practice with nonfiction, Reading A to Z Kids, Raz Kids has tons of books on there. Yeah, make sure you're doing iReady. Make sure you're doing math and reading. Some people are not, okay? Make sure when you're done watching my video, you go watch Mrs. Clothier's writing video, and you go watch Miss Clapp's math video. And if you want to go do specials, Miss Quinones, Mr. Wooters, and Mr. W are also uploading videos for all the specials for music, art, and gym, okay? Well, I love you very much. Can't wait to see you on Wednesday. Have a great week. Be good for your parents. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you're getting some fresh air. I love you, okay? Bye.